Hey everyone, welcome back to another PNSO review. Today we'll be taking a look at the new Tuojiangosaurus. What a wild ride it's been trying to get these PNSO figures in from Amazon. They've been coming in all out of order, and this Tuojiangosaurus was one of the first figures I ordered. I received multiple figures that I ordered way later than this figure that already came in, and I think it's going on almost 2 months ago since I ordered this figure. It was actually delayed for so long in customs that I couldn't even track it anymore through Amazon because it was arriving past its due date and would not let me track it. So I just had my fingers crossed that this would show up, and it finally showed up the other day. Still waiting on the Corythosaurus. I ordered that one just a little bit later than I ordered this figure, so I still have my fingers crossed that one will show up sometime soon. So anyways, this new figure is available on Amazon and retails for about 23 bucks, and I'll leave a link in the description to that Amazon listing. Man, this prehistoric animal models line is definitely trucking along this year. Every week, PNSO is releasing a new figure in that line, and they all look absolutely fantastic. Wallets are crying out in agony, but I can't complain because these figures are all fantastic looking. So before we take a closer look at this figure, let's just go over the packaging really quick. You got a nice promotional image of the Tuojiangosaurus on the front of the box. The prototype is a little bit more colorful than the actual product you receive in hand, but that's the case with most PNSO figures. The paint job on the one you do get is still really good. It's just not as colorful as it appears on the packaging. It is number 34 in the lineup. This prehistoric animal models line just keeps growing, week by week, and just like all of the PNSO's other figures, they do give it a cute name. This one is Kichuan? I don't know. Just correct me in the comments because I probably horribly mispronounced that. And then turn it over, you get a close-up of the Tuojiangosaurus on the top of the box. And just like all the other figures in this line, you get a nice little pamphlet with some information about Tuojiangosaurus. One side is in Chinese, the other side is in English, and you get a nice skeleton of Tuojiangosaurus along with some more photos of the actual figure. So enough about the packaging. Let's take a look at this spiky figure. So let's start with a nice 360-degree view of the Tuojiangosaurus. I gotta say, these figures in this prehistoric animal models line just keep getting better and better looking. The sculpted in detail are absolutely fantastic. It's like a night and day difference when you compare it to the first few figures that came out in this line. We'll get into that a little bit later with comparisons, but the paintwork is also great on here. Like I said, it does not really match up to the promotional images, but it's still really well done. The main body is almost this grayish green color, and you have some cream color mixed in there to give some banding along the tail. You have some cream blotches along the top of the back, and you have this row of osteoderms along the side of the body are decked out in this rusty orange color. The plates on the back are really well done. They have this bright, vibrant orange color to it, some black highlights. So all in all, a really nice looking stegosaur figure. So let's just do a couple of quick measurements before we take a closer look. This figure, if you measure along the curve of its neck and tail, is about 8.5 inches long and about 3 3/4 inches long to the top of the highest plate on its back. So Tuojiangosaurus in real life was about 23 feet long, so it makes it one of the larger species of stegosaurs. So using that measurement, it'll put this figure in that 133 scale range. So if you collect 135 scale, this will fit nicely in your collection. So let's zoom in and take a closer look at some of the finer details, starting with this gorgeous head sculpt. The head is really small. That's because stegosaurs have very small skulls, proportional to their body size. But you can see, even though the head is really small, it is beautifully detailed. You can clearly see the eye, which is painted a cream color with a black pupil. The beak is nicely sculpted in. You can see the nostrils right here. And there's a lot of nice scale variation and detail all over the head of this animal. You can see the ear canal right here. You got some nice osteoderms underneath the throat, and then you have that row of plates just starting behind the head that go all the way along the whole body before you get to the thagomizers at the end of the tail. And the plates are really well done. You even got some like cracks sculpted in there, which is a really nice touch. And I love that bright orange with the black highlights. And I have to say, the plates on the back and the shoulder spike and the thagomizer are really sharp on this figure. I know, the way PNSO promotes their products, with those little pamphlets they come with, they make it seem like they're geared to little kids. But man, if little kids are playing with this and smacking each other, someone's getting cut. And then going down to the shoulder spike, which is purely hypothetical on the species. There is no evidence that Tuojiangosaurus had a shoulder spike. You see a lot of these species that have not been found with this sculpted with it or in skeletals, because there are some species that have it, like Kentrosaurus. It doesn't really bother me so much, but I do kind of wish, uh, you know, they sculpted these stegosaurs that are not known to have these shoulder spikes without them, for accuracy's sake, but it is really well done. And like I said, it is extremely, extremely sharp. And then going down to the front legs, you can see the front legs have a lot of beautiful scale detail, some large osteoderms around the shoulder area. The toes are sculpted in nicely. Then you have this nice 3 rows of large osteoderms along the side of the body. They're decked out in a rusty orange paint. You have some more of those large osteoderms along the back. They're not picked out in paint. Kind of wish they were, because I like that detail to be highlighted. And then you have some cream blotches along the back right here. And then going down to the hind legs, you see they are beautifully sculpted. A lot of nice muscle detail in the thigh. The toe claws are decked out in a very light gray paint. And then turn the figure over, you can see the belly is done in a cream color with a little bit of orange highlights for that fold along the midsection. And then, do we have a dino cloaca? Yes, we do. Here's our dino butthole right here. And then going down to the tail, you can see more of those large osteoderms coming down. The way the plates come out of the back look absolutely fantastic. They are all have some nice large scales where each plate is jutting out of the animal. Looks really, really nice. And then going down to the tail, you have the thagomizers, which are just decked out with some orange paint and some black highlights at the base. So all in all, a fantastic looking stegosaur figure. Stegosaurs are a really cool species of dinosaur. They're really bizarre, and this figure definitely does that genus justice. All right, let's move on with some comparisons. First up is the PNSO mini Tuojiangosaurus, which I believe is known to have shoulder spikes. And next up is the Batat Dacentruus. And next up is the PNSO Chunkangosaurus that came with the Tuojiangosaurus diorama. You know what, while we're mentioning Tuojiangosaurus, here is that figure. I think that does scale pretty well with this Tuojiangosaurus. And next up for Stegosaurus, here it is with the Carnegie Collection Maragaya, which is a really bizarre looking stegosaur. Love the long neck on this species. And up next is the Rebor Stegosaurus, and I think these two figures scale beautifully with each other. And next up is PNSO's take on Stegosaurus, and I have to say this Stegosaurus is probably my least favorite release from PNSO of all time. I just was never a huge fan of this figure, so much so my dog actually got its mouth on it and chewed off the thagomizers. I've never felt the need to replace this figure, just especially when you compare it to the new figures in this Prehistoric Animal Models line. The sculpting detail and paint work, it's like a night and day difference. Like, this figure almost looks like a cheap knockoff next to this newer figure in the line. So I hope someday down the line PNSO decides to revisit Stegosaurus and give us a larger, much more detailed figure, because, like I said, just the color and the detail on here just looks really sloppy when you compare it to these newer figures in the line. And speaking of the newer figures in the line, here it is with the Lambeosaurus, and next up is the Boreal and next is their Pachyrhinosaurus. You can see as I'm taking these figures out, like, the paintwork and detail are just vastly superior to that Stegosaurus. But there was a hidden gem at the beginning of this line, their Ankylosaurus, which I still regard as one of the best figures in this line, and just because I have it on the studio, here it is with their older Spinops. And like I said, you can see the paintwork and detail just not on par of what we're getting now. But I heard there's actually a version 2 of the Spinops out there that has a slightly better paint job, so I might be tracking that down, because I was not happy with the paint job on this figure. So anyways, that will do it for comparison. So enough of hearing me complain about these older PNSO figures. So final thoughts on this Tuojiangosaurus. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Like I've been saying, each release in this line, these new releases anyways, the sculpting, paintwork, and detail just keeps getting better and better. And the way PNSO is releasing product, it's not even giving me time to really appreciate these figures as they're coming in. But yeah, if you're into stegosaurs and really detailed figures, this is an easy buy. It retails for about $23, which is an absolute bargain. You can spend more money on figures that are less detailed. So yeah, this is definitely coming, highly recommended from me. And like I said at the beginning of the review, I'll leave a link to that Amazon listing in the description. So that'll do it for the review. Every time I review one of these PNSO figures, I feel like I have 4 more figures coming in. And it looks like it's going to keep continuing that way for at least the next month or so. I think I heard somewhere that PNSO expects to release a new figure from like now to like January or February. So yay for our wallets. So as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated. I'll see you guys for the next one.